It looks like the Iamaleava brothers are going to be sued for breach of contract in Tennessee and Arkansas before officially arriving to UCLA. This could change college football name, image, and likeness deals forever. And what does this mean for UCLA? Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below while you're watching so you don't miss a single episode. This episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Will UCLA's Iamaleava brothers be sued for breach of contract by Tennessee and Arkansas? Looks like they will. Things we learned on Saturday for Oregon and their spring game. We'll share that. Plus, we have our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. A lot of that with the NFL draft. So hold the phone on the Iamaleava brothers and the transfers to UCLA. I mean, they're still coming, but there's going to be some more storylines along the way. Nico is coming from Tennessee. Madden is coming from Arkansas. And it looks like both brothers will be sued by their former schools' name, image, and likeness groups for breach of contract. They had deals in place before they announced that they were leaving. Nico's story, of course, is the well-known one. It all started with his reported unhappiness with his $2.2 million name, image, and likeness deal at Tennessee. He saw other quarterbacks like Carson Beck getting over $4 million a year at Miami. He wanted more. He bailed on Tennessee, did a pro-style holdout at the end of spring ball. He found out that there was not the market for his services that he thought and his family thought were out there. He reportedly settled for $1.5 million with his new NIL deal at UCLA, minus a hefty California state income tax, making a lot less money with this move. He later said that, hey, it was about the offense and it's not about the money. It was about the money, no doubt. So it's called the Edge. The Edge NIL group at the collective group at Arkansas with his brother Madden, they've actually hired an attorney, and they're going to enforce the buyout clause in Madden's name, image, and likeness agreement. The legal action is already underway. He agreed to a one-year, $500,000 deal in January, and his contract states that he has to pay half the money back should he leave early. So there is a buyout clause there. Back to Nico for a minute. He reportedly assured Tennessee that he was returning before committing to UCLA. Tennessee believes it may have a breach of contract case against him as well. The entire college football world will be watching how this unfolds. This is big. The results will reshape everything that we know about name, image, and likeness and transfer portal policy. And this is going to send a strong precedent for name, image, and likeness contracts moving forward. This situation would also apply to the brand new revenue sharing situation that's about to engulf all of college athletics any day now. That's a separate issue. But back in January, we got an early peek how this would go because we remember we did a podcast on this, got a lot of views. Remember Wisconsin defensive back Xavier Lucas. He transferred to Miami from Wisconsin. He didn't even enter the transfer portal. He went. And this was after signing a brand new 2-year revenue sharing contract, not a name, image, and likeness guy, a revenue sharing contract. So it was a thing of, everybody's going to be doing this here soon. Wisconsin was on top of it doing it early. And a 2-year deal with this kid. And it was the first of its kind. And this opened up a legal case between both parties over breach of contract. And Wisconsin also accused Miami of tampering here. Basically, Wisconsin said, look, we got a 2-year deal with you for revenue. You're our employee now for the next 2 years. And by the way, Miami, you're tampering with us. This kid's under contract with us. And so the whole legal thing opened up there, a whole new can of worms. So back to Nico, though, Iamaleava and UCLA. I got to admit, I thought of Nico, when we learned that he was coming to UCLA, I thought to myself, let's do some math here. He just did most of spring ball with Tennessee before he held out at the very end. And would this mean we just jump to UCLA and they have a much later spring schedule? Would he finish at one school and then do spring ball with another and go into their spring game, which isn't until May? So no, the answer is no. He's not getting 2 spring sessions, if you will. It's obviously probably against NCAA rules to begin with. That is, if there are even rules against this sort of thing. This is such new territory. There might not even be rules about this in the NCAA. So that's how crazy this stuff is. But believe it or not, it comes down to academics. Yeah, I know. That's a funny word, right? Do we still go to school for academics? Or are we all about making money and playing football? So, and this will apply to soon-to-be ex-UCLA Bruin quarterback Joey Aguilar as well, who's leaving and ironically going to Tennessee. The kids have to finish class that they are enrolled in at their present schools before they end up leaving. So, yeah, it's about the academics here. They got to finish up the semester. Now, the semesters don't line up really easy, as a matter of fact. They're a little different at each school. UCLA coach Sean Foster was the one that actually mentioned this week and gave us a heads up. So, Nico is going to have to finish up at Tennessee before officially joining the Bruins this summer. The same goes for Joey Aguilar. Now, UCLA, they're on a quarter system. They don't have exams until middle of June 9th through the 13th. So he's got to hang around for a little while. That's awkward. Tennessee, they're on a semester system, and their exams will be in the middle of May 9th through the 15th. So Nico could finish up at Tennessee, fly out to Westwood, get himself comfortable out there. He may cross paths with Aguilar for about a month. Could be awkward. Little crossover in Westwood. By the way, this applies to Nico's brother, Madden, who's coming from Arkansas as well. So just wanted to be aware of all that. There's also more fallout to this story. Another promising quarterback is leaving UCLA in the portal. Now, we already know about Aguilar. He's leaving. Robert McDaniel recently left. Now, 2024 4-star recruit, Demarcus Davis. He's hit the transfer portal. He had some promise. Demarcus was 6'5", 190 pounds, and he was the 3rd best quarterback prospect in the state of California for 2024. It's from Rancho Cucamonga. He did not see any action this past year, so he's looking for somewhere where he could play. He sees all the writing on the wall. He's out of there. So now look at spring ball going on at UCLA. It continues, and it's going to continue without their presumable starting quarterback and Nico Iamaleava, because he can't come until the summer. Spring ball will be over by then. So you got a coaching staff going into year 2, doesn't have a starting quarterback with it right now. Other players that they're relying to come in aren't there yet, some key players. So it's kind of messed up a little bit for them in the spring. I mean, other guys will get reps. They'll get a good look at 2nd and 3rd string guys. There's no question about that. But they got a handful of other players coming in that will have to fit in late. Running back Javian Thomas, he's coming from Cal. Kid rushed for over 600 yards and 7 touchdowns last year as a backup for Cal. Defensive backs Roderick Pleasant from Oregon, Jameer Johnson, he's coming from Indiana. They're all on their way, but they're not there now. So I think this would be an extremely difficult situation for any coaching staff to go through their spring football like this with so many people not yet on campus. But it happens. It happens. The Bruins spring game will be in the Rose Bowl scheduled for May 3rd. It's one of the later ones, so it's coming up. UCLA opens up the 2025 season, of course, for real, at home against Utah, August 30th. Big Ten play begins for them against Northwestern on the road, September 27th. Playoff teams, Penn State, Indiana, and national champion Ohio State are all on the Bruins schedule this year, plus USC and a lot of tough games. A lot of tough games on there. Bruins fans would love to hear from you. College football fans would love to hear from you. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you can. It's free right at the bottom, and you'll never miss a single episode. Don't forget, you early morning commuters, we have our audio-only version of this podcast. Also, if you're on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, it's there. That comes out 2 hours earlier before the sun rises out east, that's for sure. Don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there. Plus, we also have links so that you can buy your favorite merchandise from your favorite schools. UCLA Bruin fans, get your gear, shirts, t-shirts, hats, all that right there, talkbig10.com. We'd love to have you check that out as well. All right. What did we learn from the Oregon Ducks? They had their spring game this weekend. Let's talk about that. Plus, we'll have our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. It's NFL draft heavy. I'll tell you that right now. A lot of Big Ten players making their mark, getting drafted in the NFL draft. All that coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. The NBA playoffs are here. FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you get $250 in bonus bets if that $5 bet wins. FanDuel makes this super easy for you. Right on their app, you can pick your favorite team, mix it with player props. It's awesome. Three-pointers, steals, all these stats, assists. FanDuel has so many different ways for you to bet on player props in addition to the game itself. Plus, after the game tips off, live in-game prop bets, all that right there. You can parlay for a big chance to win right there. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. That's FanDuel.com. This program is brought to you by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, taking pride in what you build and practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can get it all done alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the all-stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver all the things that we need in our lives every day, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. Epicor ERP solutions are created by industry experts to help make every day easier. Seeing your whole supply chain is easier. Managing logistics is easier. Responding to price changes is easier. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global vision, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most of every hard-working minute that you have. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier takes the lead. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below so you never miss a single episode, and check out our website, talkbig10.com. Let's talk some Ducks. Look, Saturday was a great day for this program because they were celebrating the recent accomplishments of Dan Lanning and the program in Oregon Duck football while they're playing their spring game. The NFL draft was going on and winding down, and a draft which had a record number of Oregon Ducks that were selected. That means this program is on a high level. It is rolling. It also means that there's a lot of talent that needs to be replaced as soon as possible. And this spring game is our first good look forward to 2025 with this football team. The final score of the mix and match players is 24-20, Oregon versus Oregon. Two buzzwords, I think, to take out of this game. Defense and tight end. That's where we're at right now. The defense on both sides combined for 11 sacks, an interception, a forced fumble that Blake Purchase took to the house for a defensive score. Safety Aaron Flowers had eight tackles. Linebacker Jerry Nixon had 7 tackles. There were 11 different players that had at least a half a sack in this game. There were a combined 16 tackles for loss, and the secondary had 9 pass breakups. Now, here we are. It's spring ball. Defense is ahead of the offense. It should be. This is an offense with a brand new quarterback, the whole deal. But right now, the defense is looking good. Something to build on here through the summer as we go into the fall season. It's what to be expected. Offense is going to have to find its way and pick it up a little bit. Again, I think that's to be expected at this point. I don't think there are any alarm bells going off or anything about that. Nothing to be worried about. The offensive starters, especially the offensive line, they were spread out between the two teams, so it wasn't like a cohesive top 5 offensive line on any one side. So that gave the defense a big edge. So what about the offense? We talked on Friday's podcast about quarterback Dante Moore. There's Austin Novosad and, hey, Luke Moga. Not bad this weekend. Moga's a redshirt freshman, was 6 of 13 for 112 yards and a touchdown. Rushed a couple times for 11 yards in this one. Dante Moore, 12 of 20, modest, 140 yards, no touchdowns. Novosad, 5 of 9, 58 touchdowns, or 58 yards and no touchdowns. I said we're going to talk about defense and tight end. Tight end Kenyan Sadiq, 7 catches, 102 yards. That were all from Dante Moore. In fact, 102 of Dante Moore's 140 yards were to the tight end. That's a good connection. And according to offensive coordinator Will Stein, Sadiq's going to be a priority in this offense this year. And they want to get him the ball. The spring game was any evidence. Looks like that's the way we're going to go. Another big play, Moga hit Dylan Gresham for a 56-yard touchdown. That was cool to see. 5-star freshman wide receiver, DeCorian Moore. Novosad's first completion was to him for 36 yards. That looked good. Somebody to keep an eye on moving forward. A lot of little things to be excited about here. There's going to be a changing of the guard with a lot of players, a lot of talent that has moved on. Here's who did not play. Linebacker Devon Jackson and defensive lineman Aiden Braylon. They were held out because of injuries. Braylon was in a boot, actually. Starting wide receiver Evan Stewart did not play. He was dressed up in full pads, just didn't play. Corner Jahil Florence. He wore a red non-contact jersey in the game. Some sort of hand injury, but he was supposed to be limited, but he mixed it up, made some tackles. So maybe that's not as serious. After the game, Dan Lanning addressed a question from the media about the linebacker room, maybe being a little bit thin right now with the injury to Devin Jackson. And Dan Lanning said, point blank, right now, look, we are not pursuing another linebacker in the spring transfer portal. We're good. I like this group, he says. We're good. We're not adding any more linebackers. And, of course, we mentioned Jerry Mixon and his performance earlier in the day. Lanning and the Ducks, they open up the season August 30th. They host Montana State. And we're not going to wait too long for that Big Ten championship game rematch that we're all looking forward to against Penn State. That's going to be September 27th. Happy Valley. That's going to be the big one. That's going to be the one. You circle on your calendar. Ready to go. Meanwhile, things continue to roll in Ann Arbor. A lot of hype about Bryce Underwood, getting him in there. Got a lot of action this spring. Looks like he's going to be the starting quarterback. He's the number 1 recruit in the entire country. That is not stopping Michigan from recruiting quarterback. 4-star Brady Smigiel. He is the number 4 rated pocket passer in the country, class of 2026. Just committed to the Wolverines. He's coming. They're loading up that quarterback room in Ann Arbor. This guy is 6'5". He's 210 pounds from Newbury Park, California. He formerly committed to Florida State, by the way, and had a lot of interest from Ohio State and Oregon and Washington, other Big Ten schools. But now he's Sharon Moore's highest rated recruit for 2026. And he was a visitor at the Wolverines spring game this last week. Liked everything that he saw. Thought it was great. Loved the weight program, everything. And yeah, he's also got a little bit of a relationship with offensive coordinator Chip Lindsey, because Lindsey started to recruit Smigiel back when Lindsey was at North Carolina with Mac Brown. And then that ended, and he ended up at Michigan, and he kept the contact. And the relationship obviously was pretty strong because here he is. He's coming to Michigan. So pretty cool thing to keep an eye on. All right. So over the weekend, I paid attention to the NFL draft. I don't know if you did. I don't know if that's your thing. I like to look at the Big Ten kids, see where they're going. Just a quick note from the Big Ten. 257 total draft picks in the NFL. Ohio State dominated the draft board. 14 players, 14 Buckeyes were drafted. Oregon had 10, most ever at Oregon. Michigan had 7. And we're going to follow that through into our next segment with our top 10 Big Ten observations that we do each and every week. I want to run down these kids that went early and talk about them a little bit. All Big Ten kids in the NFL draft, first rounders, all that part of our top 10 Big Ten observations of the weekend. That's all coming up next here on Locked On Big Ten. Game Time. This is how you get tickets. There's nothing like an atmosphere, for example, of an NBA playoff game. If you want to go, go. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every minute feels huge. And the electricity in the arena of an NBA playoff game, Game Time can help you be part of it. That's how you get your tickets with no stress. Last minute ticket hunting, boom, Game Time, you're there. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when the demand is sky high for these sold out games. You can get them with Game Time. Prices on the app actually go down as tip off gets closer, and their last minute deals could save you up to 60%. So you got the last minute deals, saving you up to 60%. Last minute deals. This is not only sports, by the way, concerts, comedy, theater, all that stuff. If it needs a ticket, use Game Time. Get a great deal. All-in pricing means no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. Simple. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, let's do this. We always do features each and every at the end of every podcast here. And today we're going to do our top 10 Big Ten observations. And we're going to put up, actually I made 11 today. I'm going to put them on the screen. If you're audio only, we'll check this out. Want to start out here. These are all Big Ten players that win the first round of the NFL draft. So Ohio State, Josh Simmons, offensive tackle, goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. That's fantastic because they need to start replenishing that offensive line, give Patrick Mahomes a little bit of help. He's going to be great. I know he was injured. He may not be ready to go right away, but they're willing to wait. Coming off that injury, he's going to be great. That's going to be a perfect fit for both player and team. Oregon, one of their 10 players, Josh Connerly Jr., goes number 29 to Washington, their offensive tackle. And job one, obviously, there is to protect Jaden Daniels. So Josh Connerly and Jaden Daniels be a match made in heaven there. I think that's another good pick. At number 9, another Ohio State player, Talik Williams, defensive tackle, went number 28 to Detroit. He's going into a great situation. We all know about the injury history, the fluke injuries that Detroit had this year. We already know that he'll be pairing up with former rival Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive end, and Talik Williams will clog things up in the middle as a big defensive tackle. I think it'll be a fantastic fit there. I like all the fits of all these guys, as a matter of fact. Another Ohio State player, Donovan Jackson, the guard, offensive line. He is going to go to Minnesota, number 24. And he's going to be paired with a former Michigan. His job now will be to protect J.J. McCarthy. A lot of pieces in place. That's an explosive offense. So everything will be good there. And I think that's another good fit for him. All right. And at number 7, Oregon, Derek Harmon. He goes to the Steelers at 21. He's going to be a great fit there. What a story this is. Derek Harmon, you may remember, spent his first 3 years at Michigan State. He's from the state of Michigan. His mom had been very, very sick. And in fact, going into draft night was on life support and got drafted by the Steelers. And then his mom passed away just shortly after he became a first-round pick of the NFL. What a bittersweet story. What a bittersweet night that was for Derek Harmon. At number 6, Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver. Some thought he might not go to the second round. He goes in the first round. In fact, went pretty early in the first round to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 19. Now, they're loaded at wide receiver. They got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Godwin's coming off an injury. Evans getting a little old. The Bucs have been drafted at wide receiver. A couple drafted. They got McMillan out of Washington last year. So before very eyes, this Buckeyes, it's the Buckeye. Buckeyes the Bucks. Okay, he's got to get used to that. Being a Buckeye to a Buccaneer. the wide receiver room is getting young before our very eyes in Tampa Bay. They got themselves an excellent wide receiver. At Penn State, Ty Warren, the tight end, he goes to the Colts. This is a great get. This is a great fit. 2 tight ends, 2 Big Ten tight ends went in the first round. I thought they would go in a different order. We'll talk about Colston Loveland in a minute. But the Colts will be thrilled with Tyler Warren there. Good get. Also, in our top 10 Big Ten observations, sticking with the first round of the NFL draft with Big Ten players, let's talk about Kenneth Grant at Michigan. He goes 13th to the Miami Dolphins, who need to shore up both of their lines of scrimmage, offense and defense. He will do great there. Remember the year before, they got Chop Robinson out of Penn State, edge rusher, and now Kenneth Grant, very large human being. He's going to clog up the middle there and stop the run, among other things. So that's a good get. Sticking with Michigan at number 3, Colston Loveland, the tight end. He goes to Chicago. Ben Johnson, former Lions head coach, likes all those trick plays. Former, with the Lions, he was in the state of Michigan. Probably couldn't help but watch a highlight or two of Colston Loveland when Michigan was running. But I thought Ben Johnson would probably take Ty Warren out of Penn State because Ben Johnson loves trick plays, and we know that Ty Warren can throw the ball and do a lot of things. But he went with Colston Loveland earlier in the draft. So there you have it, top 10 pick. What else we have? Another Michigan player, another defensive tackle, Mason Graham. So both of the defensive tackles go in the top 13. Graham goes to the Browns and going to be playing alongside Myles Garrett. That'll be great. By the way, footnote, Browns later took Big Ten player Dylan Gabriel and then took Shedeur Sanders. A lot of quarterbacks. Don't know what's going on there exactly in Cleveland, but the defense looks good with Mason Graham. And then finally, our number 1 Big Ten observation, Abdul Carter. Going number 3 overall. He was the highest picked Big Ten player out of Penn State. Edge rusher going to the New York Giants. It was funny, though. He did inquire about wearing Lawrence Taylor's retired number, 57. And Taylor said, no, man, get your own number. I thought it was funny. So there you have it. Our top 10 Big Ten observations, we basically made it 11, and the top 11, all 11 Big Ten players that were drafted in the first round. Wanted to mention something about each and one of them. If you have any comments, too, about their futures, we'd love to hear from you as well right here on the podcast. Many ways for you to interact with us. You can hit us up on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. Also, our website, talkbig10.com. Be sure to subscribe for free so you never miss an episode. And don't forget our early morning commuters. You can hit us up with the audio-only versions that come out a little extra early on Apple and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. 2 hours earlier, as a matter of fact. They're all early. Video, audio, they're all early. Just the audio one come out a little earlier. Go back and check out a previous podcast. Always ask you to do a second listen. And also for a second listen, don't forget we had our Locked On NFL Draft Guys with Damian Parson and Keith Sanchez. They're still talking about it. They got all the reaction today and thoughts and rankings and all that stuff. So check it out on Locked On NFL Draft. In the meantime, I can't wait till we meet again tomorrow. Thanks for joining us here today. Tell all your friends about us. We're here every single day. And all 18 teams, all Big Ten, news, opinion, and analysis. All of those things under one umbrella. It's the only podcast like it in the world. Tell your friends about us. We're here each and every day. And until tomorrow, I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten. We'll talk to you then.